The marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka expresses this general concept of the unification of these two aspects of reality, spiritual and physical. This is the whole purpose of Avodah. This is the whole purpose of Judaism. As we're reading right now in this week's parsha, today, Eleazer was sent as an emissary to find a wife for Yitzchak. And Avram said, find a wife from my family. So he went and he was davening to Hashem. He said, please Hashem, help me find a woman who's going to give me to drink. And he's going to drink my camels. And he found her and he thanked Hashem and all that. Anyway, we do see that he is the first shliach in the Torah. And the Rebbe went a whole discussing whether Eleazer is considered a shliach or a shadchan. So what's the difference between a shliach and a shadchan? A shadchan is like their own person, their own identity, their own self, separate from the person who they're helping. And they're just doing a favor for this person. But by a shliach, an emissary, he has no self. His whole self is just an extension of the person who sent him. And if a person goes out of what he was asked to do, he's not considered a shliach anymore. The shliach, the concept of shliach is he's totally batal to the person who sent him. He's totally nullified. He's just an extension of that person. Then we spoke about, so the Rebbe proved that Eleazer was considered a shliach. Then we also explained that Avram Avinu wrote a document transferring all of his possessions to Yitzchak, his son. So why would he do that? It's like you can't really do that. You're not supposed to give away all your possessions. You're not allowed to do that. So how could he do that? Especially if he was still going to live another 35 years and he had a family. Like, he can't just give away all of his possessions. But he said no, because basically the reason why he gave away all of his possessions was because he was basically investing himself and everything that he was about and everything that was connected to him into the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka. We spoke about what is the idea of the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka. We said that Yitzchak represents the soul and her holiness, spirituality, and Rivka, who was outside the land of Israel, represents the world, the body, and physicality.
You said that was the most general concept?
Yeah. So that's what we're saying. We're saying that the concept of the yichud, it's called in Chassidus, it's called yichud ma und ban, which is the unification of spirituality and physicality, of soul and body. This is the whole purpose of reality. This is as we're going to explore very soon, and we're going to go back into it. And what was Eleazer? Eleazer was a shaliach to go make this happen. He was set, and he had to be a shaliach in order to do it. He had to be totally given over to Avram Avinu, and thereby he was able to fulfill this incredible unification of Yitzchak and Rivka, which basically brought about the continuation of the Jewish people forever, all the way up until Mashiach. But it was really only the beginning. It was only the beginning. The Yitzchak and Rivka was like the beginning. Matan Torah happened in a more powerful way, where spirituality and physicality united. But really, the ultimate is going to be by Mashiach, whereas the whole world and godliness are going to be totally unified. And that's where we're going. So that's where we're going. So we'll go forward now inside the Sikha. If that's okay with everybody.
Please. Looking forward to it.
Okay. So it says Midarf. So we need another explanation. We need more explanation, according to what we said. That the arichas in the Torah, that the Torah goes at length, is because why does the Torah speak at such length about this whole parsha of Eleazer going and making this shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka? That was Nasi Yitzchak and Rivka, so basically, the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka expresses this general concept of the unification of these two aspects of reality, spiritual and physical. So it said, seemingly, what should the Torah talk about at length is the actual shidduch of Yitzchak and Rivka that Eleazer put together, but not about his actual shlichus and Pulasa Shel Eleazer alta achana to the yichud. Shouldn't talk about the Eliezer shlichus and everything he was doing. And the Torah speaks in detail about all these little things that Eleazer was doing, and it repeats it twice, and maybe even more. So why is the Torah going in such length describing all of these different actions that Eleazer is taking and all of these details about his journey to go make the shidduch happen? Speak about the actual shidduch. If that's what's important here, the main thing is that you unify Ma Uban, Yitzchak and Rivka, speak about the actual shidduch happening. Why are you talking about the preparation for it? Why are you talking about Eleazer going out and all the things he had to do in order to make it happen? Right? Which is a preparation. So why is the Torah why is the Torah going at such length about the actual shlichus alone? How Avram made him swear, and all the details, where he has to go, and how Eleazer actually did it. You guys understand the question?
Mm-hmm.
What? No. You sure you don't understand?
I'm pretty sure.
Why was the Torah speaking at such length about the whole process of Eleazer going out, his shlichus, and all the details of his shlichus, if the main point was just the putting together Yitzchak and Rivka? Let the Torah talk about that, the actual Yitzchak and Rivka becoming married and about them becoming married.
I got it. Thank you.
So from here, it's understood that the shlichus of Eleazer is really nagea to the etzem inyan. It's connected to the actual point of the Yichud Ma'aban, meaning Eliezer's shlichus is not just a side point in the unification of Ma'aban, it's like a main point. His shlichus is a main point in this unification of Yitzchak and Rivka, what he accomplished. So one of the explanations is Balpiza, we'll understand the reason, the inner reason for was Eleazer is given dafka shliach, why Eleazer was specifically a shliach, not a shadchan. Because in order to accomplish the service of bringing down the yichud of Ma'aban, by them adam was to das oif. So it has to be also, in order to accomplish the unification of spirituality and physicality, it also has to be there in the person who's bringing them together. Meaning the shliach himself has to have both components. In order to bring the two components together, he has to have both components within himself. On one hand, he should be himself, he should be a person unto himself, an independent guy. When the Metzias is also in battle and for mit the mishalech, and his self, which is a self, should be nullified and unified with the person sending them, which is ma. Thus is the inyan for the shaliach daku. So this is the inyan of a shaliach. Two components. On one hand, you're somebody. On the other hand, you're totally given over to the person who sent you. And that's like the idea of Yitzchak and Rivka, because Rivka represents like she's somebody that's separate from Hashem. She's like an entity unto herself. And Yitzchak is like this person who's totally given over to holiness. So it's totally batal. So you're on one hand it exists, on the other hand it's totally batal. The shliach has to have both of these things. So he says the shliach has these two contradictory notions. On one hand, he's a separate entity than the person sending him. He has his own mind. He has his own ideas. That's one point. Shliach has to have his own. He has to be a bar das. According to halacha, he has to have knowledge. He has to be a knowledgeable person, at some level. But on the other hand, he has to be given over to the mishalech. He has to be given over to the person sending him. So on one hand, he has to be a person unto himself. On the other hand, he has to be given over to this other person. He has to recognize, he has to recognize that he's somebody else's shliach. And he shouldn't stray from what the person sending him wants. And if he does change what he was told to do, so he's not a shliach anymore. And he has to know that he's going to fulfill the shlichus with the power that the mishalech chose him for as a shliach, and shlucha shaladam kamaiser is kamasa mamish. So this is saying this is what a shliach is. On one hand, he's a separate entity. On the other hand, he's given over. And this is this is also the point of this yichud ma'aban, which we're talking about, is that the neshama of a Jew is unified in a revealed way with Hashem. Neshama shenasat b'taharihi. A Jew is connected to Hashem. The Jewish person is a piece of God. So he's one with Hashem. We're one with Hashem. The Shlichus von der Eden, durch dem, was der Eibishter hat geschickt seine Neshama in the Guf. And this Shlichus that Hashem sent our Neshama into a body, a Gashmi, a physical body, and a Gashmistic belt in a physical world. Ata brasata yitzata beata napachta. There's all often the Yichud von man. Why did Hashem send the Neshama, which is one with Hashem, into a body, so that he could affect, and he could make this unification of Ma'amban from his soul and his body, spiritual and physicality, von seiner Neshama mit seinem Guf Gashmi. As euch mit der Neshama gefunden sich in Guf, just like how the Neshama is in the body. So, but on one hand, was been said Atzmai, Begili is a Metzias Yesh announcement, meaning when you have a soul in the body, so the person looks like he has his own existence. He's a person. That's like one hand. He has his own identity. But, however, it should shine in him the light of the neshama, and the guf, the body, should be batal to the neshama. They make their soul the main thing, and their body secondary. This is the guf and neshama until the body and the soul will become one, unified, through the avodah fulfilling Torah mitzvahs, which are specifically with physical things, to draw down and reveal the light of holiness in the physicality of the world. So that in everything what a Jew does, he should feel and sense the oneness of his soul and body with Hashem, to become basically one with Hashem. And therefore, Eleazer was specifically, that's why we say Eleazer was specifically like a shaliach to fulfill the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka, because by a shaliach, you have the shleimus of the Yichud Ma'amban. Right, so basically a shliach, he had this. He had on one hand, he had his own identity, on the other hand, he was given up. And that's what he was trying to accomplish by this shidduch, bringing together Yitzchak and Rivka. So based on this, we can also understand what Avram gave over everything he had to fulfill this shlichus, because this concept of Yichud Ma'amban, which we said is the whole purpose of reality, and so the ultimate in that is really going to be in the Geula. That's like this inyan of Ma'uban, which is, generally speaking, the idea of the soul and body, physical and spiritual. The unification of that in the ultimate way will be in the redemption. So about the Yichud Ma'aban, takes all of the points of the entire Seder Shtalshlus and all the Torah and mitzvahs. This is the only thing, and this is the main thing this is what Judaism is really all about. The Rebbe had Avram fear from them up. That's why Avram gave everything he had into this. The koyach to make this unification, how it came, and really it came out in a revealed way in the giving of the Torah, but really it came from Avram, because Avram put his entire self into this shlichus. He empowered Eleazer, that Eleazer should be his shliach, and then Eleazer did it, and through Eleazer being like a faithful servant, basically a faithful shliach, he was able to basically bring together, which was really the Yitzchak and Rivka, spiritual and physical, and unite them, and that was really a preparation for, like we said, Matan Torah, where we see that holiness and physicality united, that when you do a mitzvah, the physical object becomes holy, is one with Hashem, and the ultimate in that is going to be in the redemption. So this, here we're saying how a shaliach has these two concepts of like ma'an ban, of having a self and the self being nullified. And as we go forward, so now the Rebbe wants to say an explanation on something wondrous. So the explanation Chassidus, in the most fundamental works of Chassidus, of the oral Torah of Chassidus, Torah and Likutei Torah, the Alter Rebbe's works, Parshas Eliezer, the whole parsha of Eleazer and the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka doesn't come in its regular place in Torah or in Parshas Chayei. Like if you open up a Torah or and you look for Parshas Chayei, it doesn't have the story over there about Eleazer and Yitzchak and Rivka. Where do you find the story of Eleazer, Yitzchak, and Rivka? In the back of the Sefer, in the last parsha in the Torah. Now we can look at it in the end. So there it says. So what's the explanation of that? Why is it in the end? Why is the story that's in the beginning of Bereshis explained in the end of Likutei Torah? So this is actually hinting that the shlichus of Eleazer to accomplish the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka, which is Ma'am Ban, and the ultimate perfection of that in the redemption, because as the shleimus v'tachlis from kol inyanei avoda, the perfection and the purpose of all matters of avoda. So the shleimus like this is the shleimus v'tachlis kol. As in them is the shlichus for Eleazer, the shlichus of Eleazer to accomplish the marriage of Yitzchak and Rivka, which is a yichud Ma'am Ban, and its shleimus negula is the shleimus v'tachlis from kol inyanei avoda. This is the whole purpose of avoda. This is the whole purpose of Judaism, is to make a ma and a ban united, to unite these worlds. That's why it's explained at the end, in the completion of Likutei Torah. And then it starts speaking about Shir Shirim, which what is Shir Shirim about? Is the ultimate and perfect wedding and unification of Jews with Hashem, which is the shleimus, the perfection of Yichud Ma'am Ban, as it's going to be in the Geulah Mitzvah Shlema. And not only is the reason why this whole story about Eleazer, Yitzchak, and Rivka in the end, because this is the whole purpose of Judaism, and that's what we're trying to reach to, the unification. He says that in the beginning of Likutei Torah, Parshas Vayikra, he explains the concept of shlichus. So in the beginning of Likutei Torah, he speaks about shlichus, that every single Jew is a shliach of Hashem, and that Hashem sent his neshama down here in a body, so he should fulfill his shlichus in the world. So the beginning of the Torah says that a Jew is a shliach from Hashem. Hashem sent his soul down here. And what does it say in the end? It talks about Eleazer and Yitzchak and Rivka, which is the completion of all that. So that's what the Rebbe says here. As das was what it says in the beginning, it's hinting that this is the beginning of the service of a person. The knowledge that you're a shliach. A person should know that they are a shliach. And in the end, he explains the shleimus, the completion of that service, which is a yichud Ma'am Ban, which is a preparation for the marriage of the future time. Because marriage is like, masculine, feminine. There's also a similar concept. And that unification is a marriage, and that's what we're working towards, like you could say spiritual, physical. So that was the Rebbe is explaining that this is what are we doing here? What is life all about? Hashem sent us down here to fulfill our mission, to fulfill our service, sent our neshamas down into this body in order to do Torah mitzvahs and unite our soul and our body. The ultimate of that is going to be in the redemption. So based on this, so now it's a Mashiach shir, right? So it's not a Shaliach shir, it's a Mashiach shir, right? So now we're going to connect the two basically. So the Rebbe says that based on this,
this weekend.
Exactly. And this is the Sicha from the Kinnis Shluchim of Tafshin Beis. It says we're going to understand now what is the idea that Mashiach is a Shaliach. Shlach na biad tishlach. So Mashiach is a Shliach who's going to accomplish durch welchen es führt sich durch Shleimus Inyan HaShlichus. He's gonna basically accomplish the whole purpose of Shlichus, the ultimate Shlichus Yichud Ma'an Ban, which you said is the unification Ma'an Ban, which started with the Shlichus of Eleazer, when he brought together Yitzchak and Rivka. Shlichus from them Oibishter, the Shlichus of Hashem, to bring the Geula HaMitzvah Shlema. This is what his job is. Mashiach's job is to bring the Geula HaMitzvah Shlema. Makes sense? Pretty simple, right? And as V'zayin Shlema, and that's going to be the ultimate unification of soul and body. Jewish people and Hashem is one. And also in the world, there's going to be an ultimate revelation of godliness in this physical world. So he has the ganze Welt, that the whole world is going to be a dwelling place for Hashem in the lower world. That's what it's going to be. Mashiach is coming out to carry that out, to bring the unification, to bring the revelation, and to bring the dwelling of Hashem in the world. So based on this, so Mashiach is a shaliach, as we just said. So based on that, it's understood why Mashiach also has he's called the shaliach, which has to have these 2 points as well. Yichud ma'an ban. On one hand, he's a self. He has a self, a neshama in a body. He has a flesh and blood. The Rambam says that he's a king from the house of David, who is working in Torah and mitzvahs, like David his father, and he'll fight the wars of Hashem, which shows that he must be in this world, where there's opponents. And therefore, you have to go to war, because he has to fight the wars of Hashem. And he's going to win. And together with that, so on one hand, he's a person, he's an individual. On the other hand, Shlucha Shel Adam, he's a shliach of Hashem, and therefore, since he's a shliach of Hashem, a shliach is totally nullified to the person who sent him, so he's totally given over to Hashem. So on one hand, he is an individual. On the other hand, he's totally given over to Hashem. And that's the idea of a shliach, because the shliach unites these 2 concepts of having a identity and having an existence, and yet that identity and existence being totally given over to Hashem. Because in order to accomplish the unification of the soul and the body by a Jew, which he's going to do it says that he's going to compel all the Jewish people to go in the way of the Torah, to strengthen it. He has to have by him, he has to have both things. He has to have both concepts as they are one, and that's Mashiach. Mashiach is going to have this. So that's how we see. We said that. What is a shliach? Eleazer? Eleazer is coming to bring together ma and ban, spiritual, physical. He was a shliach, the first shliach. Mashiach is a shliach. Mashiach is also going to have these 2 concepts, which the Rebbe just explained. How Mashiach, on one hand, he's like an individual, on the other hand, he's given over to Hashem. Because he has these 2 things in the ultimate way, in a perfect way, he's able to accomplish, make that happen in the world as well. So then he goes on and he says, based on this, we can understand what Moshe Rabbeinu, what we said in the second Sif 2 weeks ago. We said that, what did Moshe Rabbeinu ask Hashem? We spoke about it lately. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, why are you sending me to take the Jewish people out of Egypt? Send Mashiach. He's going to eventually bring them into the final redemption. Why are you sending me? So Moshe wanted to, and not only did he want to, but he actually made the unification of the first Redeemer with the final Redeemer. That's what we said earlier, that when Moshe Rabbeinu asked that question, being that he's like the ultimate in wisdom, and the Torah wrote it down, so it must be that Hashem fulfilled it, and that's what it says, Goel Rishon, the first Redeemer, who Goel Acher is the last Redeemer, because Moshe and Mashiach have a connection, and they're united, because of Moshe Rabbeinu's request that Hashem should send Mashiach, not him. So Hashem made that happen and connected the first Redeemer with the final Redeemer, Moshe with Mashiach. So Moshe, what is Moshe? What is Moshe all about? In general, his concept is Chachma, wisdom. Torah. It says, remember the Torah of Moshe, my servant. Moshe received the Torah from Sinai. That's Moshe. Torah, wisdom. Mashiach, what's his concept is really mainly kingship, Malchus. Yamad Melech mi beis David, a king will stand from the house of David. And he says, this idea of like Moshe being wisdom and Mashiach being king is like the difference between a giver and a receiver. Mashpia and Mekabel. So the Mashpia, which is like Chochma, which is the first of the spheres, the top, and the Mekabel Malchus. Der Unterscheid zwischen Or Hashem is like the difference between the light of the sun, which gives, and the light of the moon, which receives. So, we know that the moon is connected with Mashiach, as it says, Farbunim mit David Malkum Mashiach. Okay, the moon is connected with Mashiach, recipient. Moshe received the Torah from Sinai, so he received the entire Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu received the Torah, the whole Torah. which is the source of all the downflow of blessing, and from there it's drawn the ability for everything. In the Torah, there's also the potential of redemption in there. It says that the Torah is the source of all of hashpa, so all the flow. And from there, it's drawn the potential for everything, including the potential for the Gila and the ultimate redemption. So that's Moshe. Mashiach, so he's the last Redeemer. He comes at the end of all the service, Malchus, which is the last Sphira, at the end of the time of Galus. But he has the quality of a recipient. Through his bittul, he includes in the Pnimis all Hashpas Milamala. He's able to receive all of the blessings and all the flows that come from above. And not only that, but the light of the recipient reaches even higher than the light of the giver, as will be revealed in the ultimate redemption, that the feminine will surround the masculine, which is the quality of the body of the Jew, versus in comparison with the neshama, because specifically in the body you have the power of atzmus. This is a really powerful point. I don't want to. I'll go through it one more time. Bizarre's last level. Okay, so what he's saying like this. So again, Mashiach is a makabel, and he's like an amazing makabel because he's totally given over to Hashem. He's able to receive all the blessings from above, and he receives them all in a real way, not in a fake way, not in a external way. And not only that, but what the recipient receives even higher than what the flow is coming from the giver. Yeah. Okay. We'll come back to this next time.
Thank you so much.